Hey Po, how are you, bro?
Yeah, good.
That's the go. Hey, how did you hear about Jesus?
All right, so would have been 2016 is the main one. This is what it's all centered around. So grew up in not Christian home, but I went to a Christian school. So I knew of God, sort of knew basic things, basic stories, but wasn't in a relationship at all. So I was would have been 14, 15 when this happened. So I went to New Zealand for a rugby league trip, made the Australian side, went and played over there against a few teams, had an awesome time. But yeah, so that's there. So remember that, keep that in the back of your minds. So year after that, I got baptized. I found Jesus sort of like roughly, I wouldn't say I gave my heart to him, but I got baptized and I knew of him. And then ever since that baptism, I just started becoming really anxious. I didn't want to come to school. My grades were dropping. I was scared. I didn't want to go even play league and footy. I was a big footy boy back then. And yeah, so I even started hearing voices in my head. I started thinking that people were following me around. I couldn't sleep. I'd wake up at like 3 o'clock in the morning, going to my mum, there's somebody watching me, or I'm getting these bad dreams. And so basically that's where it started. And then it even ended up coming to like suicidal thoughts, and that led it on to a few attempts. I think it was 3 or 4 times I tried to get off the world. But so it was a really tough time. And what we did was, any sort of not Christian family or not knowing spiritual backgrounds, we went to child mental health. So I went to the hospital, and yeah, went to mental health and tried to get diagnosed. And that was a period in itself where it was just constant appointments in and out of the hospital. And even there was a few times there where I was going to school from the hospital. So I'd go get ready at hospital, go to school, come back to the hospital.
Wow.
And then, yeah, so went to that. They couldn't, by the end of it, like the month, it was like 2 or 3 months. It was, they couldn't diagnose me, couldn't pin it down to a certain thing, because I'd be fine in this aspect of life, but then struggle in this aspect. So there was obviously no scientific backing they could put on it, I think. And then we even went through medications. So with that child mental health people, they subscribed me some medicines. And with that, I actually got overconfident, like out of personality. I was so confident. I was really cocky that I even like got done for sexual harassment at school. And that was pretty tough for me, because I was in year 8. So around that age, still trying to find who I am, still cared about my reputation, and just, yeah, once that happened, it wrecks me, sort of thing. So yeah, become confident. Even in sport, actually, like I was playing, like when I had that drug, I thought I was the best. Like I thought I was JT Cameron Smith. I was doing all the kicks. I was saying I'm in charge, trying to score every set and all that. So it was not just that aspect of confidence. So they realized, okay, this is not working. So there's medicine side is off it, didn't work. So yeah, so my parents, my mum, she's Aboriginal, dad's Kiwi. So we had that cultural side of us. So mum actually even started praying to her ancestors, because that's what we didn't know what else to do. Yeah. So she went through that. She was praying that we'd see an emu walking up the road, because that's our totem, to come and save us and change me or whatever it was. But nothing happened in that regard. So yeah, so I have a friend, a close friend. His mum was actually in a prayer team, and she obviously knew what was going on with me, because like we're close friends, and he told her. And so she knew that this was obviously something spiritual, and she asked my mum and dad if they can come over and pray for me. Mum said no. No, mum was happy with it, but dad, he wasn't a Christian at the time. He was against it. No, we're not evil. We don't do evil in this family. Like, we were brought up with good morals, so we didn't think we were evil at all. And so, yeah, so she kept asking, mum kept saying no, dad would say, oh, mum was all right, dad would say no. But the night before my deliverance, so dad actually, he was in the shower, and he said he saw a massive white light, someone in white robes, really bright, and he said it was Jesus, or he thought he saw Jesus. And this was like to dad, wow, okay. And then he went straight out to mum and said, hey, let's get this prayer team over, and let's see what...
So did they speak to him or anything, or...?
No,
Jesus, or...
It was...
He just saw that?
Yeah, he just saw it, and I think he just recognised that it was Jesus, or it was an angel. And he was like, wow, okay, this is spiritual. This is like, obviously mum talks to him about it because mum knew of it. And he was like, wow, okay, there must be something there. So yeah, Dad said yes to the prayer team. The day after they came over, because the pastor, she had been fasting and praying, she stayed in town because she knew that she'd come over. God told her. So anyway, they came over. I can clearly remember a lot of the things that I went through. And so I remember the day of, they pulled up, there was about 4 of them. I knew some of them from just being around Rocky. And they, as soon as their car pulled into the driveway, I took off into my room. I went and hid under the bed. It's like the demons, they obviously knew what was happening. So, and then mum got me and she said, come say hello, we're gonna have lunch with them first. And what I clearly remember is I was not able to look into that, like look at them. They were so bright. Every time I would, of just being with them, I had my eyes down. We were eating lunch and I'm there like this because there's just the brightness. Like I could see them. It felt like as if there was a glare in my eyes that I couldn't look at them.
Wow, like just this bright, like torch as if it's shining in your eyes. Kind of thing,
like I could still see them, see everything, but just some light or just the brightness was just so like, oh, what is that? And obviously, yeah, we know what it was. So after that, they took me into my living room. My whole family was there, so I had mum, dad, my 18-year-old. Should have been younger than that, but she's a year younger than me, and then my 14, couple of years younger, year-old sister as well. They were all there. They all witnessed it, and so yeah, they just started praying for me. I can remember they were saying, oh, it's in his stomach, and they were speaking in tongues, and they were saying, let's get it out, and they were just praying, and then I felt sick, like I felt like I was going to vomit, and so my sister saw that, and she ran and grabbed the bucket, and then I just sort of spewed up, just spit or just like mucus or whatever it was. I didn't really see anything, but my sister who grabbed the bucket, she said she saw red. Like she saw like a red blood looking thing. To me it wasn't red, I didn't see that. So yeah, that happened, and then I did it again, and they're like, oh, there's still one more, and kept praying, and so released that second one. And so yeah, afterwards the pastor said, so when you went over to New Zealand back, that was like a year before, I had eaten a hangi, like a traditional food down there, and I didn't bless the food to my body, and a witch has actually cursed that food. It's like prayed witchcraft over it, and that's when it's come in, the 2 demons, and they're like cultural demons. So yeah, so that's what it was, and that's what tormented me for that couple of months. And so yeah, it was huge for our family. Like all through it, we call it our family testimony, that it is centered around me. So Dad, obviously, once he saw that, found Jesus, gave his heart to the Lord. And then my sisters through the stage, I remember a traveling pastor who actually come over from South Africa was in town at the time, and they gave their hearts to the Lord there in that revival meeting. And that was through that same 5 or so month period while I was going through I had the demons. So it was just, yeah, it was surreal. So
it's the whole family pretty much coming to God.
Exactly, it's amazing like that. And then, so it only took about 2 weeks for me to get back to normal. The only things I had to watch out was change was just behavioural habits, like looking over my shoulder, sort of checking the window if anybody's outside. It was just behavioural things. But my family, my mum even said my eyes colours changed, like they weren't so glazed over anymore, which was like another physical thing they saw. So yeah, back to being myself and back at school like nothing had happened. So yeah, it's just been amazing. Like
it's cool, bro.
I can never look back. I can never turn my back on God just because he's done so much for me.
Yeah.
And it's just like, I can't deny it. I can't say, oh, God's not real, because the amount of things that he's done.
You've seen the changes, hey?
Exactly.
I love that story too, bro. Like the devil, the enemy comes in to try to torment you, to rob you of your life and that. And in the end, all that happens is your whole family comes to God.
Exactly.
So like big backfire, and your father, your mum, you, your daughter, your sister. That's so good.
Yeah, it's so good, yeah. But
Pretty cool.
We've just been on fire ever since.
Cheers.
Yeah.
Awesome, bro. Thanks for sharing.
That's all good.